Well, I'm State Senator Judy Emmons. I represent the 33rd Senate District here in Michigan, and we're just grateful that I have colleagues here with me, that they're willing to share their thoughts briefly, because I know some of you have to leave. But let's start with Senator Marlowe. If you'd like to say a couple words, since there are so few of you, I'm actually going to let you speak.
I'll just be very brief. I just think that this is probably one of the most important things that we've worked on, and there's 19 bills in this package, and it's just incredible, and I can only say that let's get her done.
Senator Meekhoff, Majority Floor Leader Meekhoff.
Thank you, Senator Emmons. I just appreciate the fact that you all came out to spend time to help Judy and impress upon your friends and your neighbors and people in your church how important and what a vital issue this is. I know Judy and her staff has put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours in collecting data and making people aware, so I'm thankful that you also recognize the work that she's put into it, and thanks for being here today.
Senator Knox.
Thank you, Senator Emmons. I'm Senator Mike Knopf, the 19th Senate District, and prior to coming up here, I had a 30-year career with law enforcement. And I want to tell you, it's great to be here today because it's great to shine the light on the victims that are victimized each and every day that we are not even aware of, but they're amongst all of us. And it's so good to have this 19-bill package to try to start address some of the concerns and some of the victims, and let us stand strong through this time period to make sure that we do everything we can with all the power that we have to be able to help these individuals that are in that type of a lifestyle each and every day and against their wishes. Thank you very much.
Senator Hildebrand.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Dave Hildenbrand, Senator for the Grand Rapids area, and I just wanted to add my compliments to Senator Emmons and her leadership and her staff and all the work of the organizations that go behind this. In the Grand Rapids area, we have a great safe haven program that's part of Wedgwood Christian Services that I've visited and talked with those folks and have pledged my help in any way to Senator Emmons. She's a great leader on this issue, and I'm honored that she asked me to help out in sponsoring one of the bills. So we look forward to expediting this process and getting more protections in safe haven for the young people in our state. So thank you, Senator Emmons, for including me.
Thank you. And also, Senator Jones is with us as well. If you'd like to say a few words.
Just want to say thank you for coming out. I want to thank Senator Emmons, Attorney General Bill Schuette for all their efforts on this package. It's a great package. My bill allows something everybody thinks we already have. Allows the judge to order wiretapping. How are you going to take on organized crime if you don't have wiretapping? And we don't have that in this state. The federal government has it. Most other states have it, but we don't. So we hope we can take on this organized crime and shut it down. Thank you.
Well, this is a big day for us. It is a culmination of many months of work and a lot of supporters behind us. I would like to thank some very important people who have underwritten some of the costs that have gone along with this. Certainly Stephanie Johnson of Capital Services, Christine Scher of Michigan Association of Health Plans, Chris Cross of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Company, and also Jim Murray of AT&T. There are costs that we incur. We bring speakers, we have other costs, and they have helped us work through this process and helped us get through some of the costs that could become very burdensome. So we appreciate that, and we can't thank them enough. Thank you. Well, and on to even those who've contributed in other ways, and just as important, if not more so. I'd like to recognize the Attorney General, Bill Schuette. He is not able to be here. He is not in the vicinity today. However, we do have former Senator Alan Cropsey on here on his behalf. Anything you'd like to say?
Just want to say thank you to Senator Emmons and the Senate. The Attorney General has had a task force going on now for several months. Hopefully we will looking forward to having our final recommendations in about 3 or 4 weeks. I want to say thank you to Senator Emmons for the work that she has put in on that, and to the House members who have done also. And we look forward to working with the Senate and the House and getting a good package of human trafficking legislation passed
And more than just a good package of legislation, but having an action plan to stamp out this scourge on our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I think Senator Cropsey encapsulated exactly what we would like to see happen. This is a great collaboration between the House, the Senate, the Attorney General's task force. We've been privileged to help serve on that, and we all recognize the value of what we're doing, the importance of what we're doing, the fact that there are individuals who will benefit greatly by many of the pieces of legislation that are coming out. And we do want to be the state that is the head state in this country. We're the state that sets the pace, and the other states will want to follow, because we know that we can make a difference. And with all the folks that are here and the support they've shown, we will do that. And this is just the beginning of the process. I would like to acknowledge folks, you know, contrary to what some of us in the legislature think, the best ideas do not come from those of us who sit on the floor in the Senate. The best ideas come from folks who actually are out there in the trenches. And I've been working with some very, very important folks, very valuable folks, who have shared their expertise, shared their time, shared their gas, and they've worked on our advisory panel, our committee that's been putting together this legislation. I'd just like to briefly name their names. I won't go into wherefore they arrived from, but I will name their names, and I just would hope you would acknowledge them with a round of applause when I'm finished. Beth Dake and Mary Ann Dake, Julie Redimer and Joelle Redmer, Diane Baird, Mary Lou Cole, Tressa Duffin, Rebecca Masti, Jake Vargo, Connie Lampham, Jay, I always have a terrible time with your last name, but wave your hand, Jay, so we know who you are. Valerie Brinsmaid, Marnie Westberg, Anne-Marie Del Grazio, former State Representative Holly Hughes, Annie Garnett, Meredith Reese, Richard Sands, Elizabeth Johnson, Mary Lovick, Joyce Haskett, Diantha Hicks, Cheryl Christmas, Lesia Liss, Mary Keefe, Kat Hansen, Shauna Rushing. These folks have shared their time with us on numerous meetings, numerous, brainstorming sessions. And they're from all over the state. And the beauty of this state is its diversity and the size. And we know that one piece of legislation isn't going to solve it all. And with their help, we've come up with a big bill package. Before I go a little further, let me just give you a little background. You're here because you know a little bit about human trafficking. It is a $32 billion global industry. It is tied with the drug traffic trade, and it is also second to the arms trade. Thank you. And we're not aware of the impact in Michigan so much because we don't have all the statistics that we need. So our goal is to effectively treat this legislation and improve how we treat our perpetrators and our victims. Before I go further, I want to acknowledge Representative Margaret O'Brien and Representative Dale Zorn. And we also have here the Women's Commission here in Michigan. Is Susie Avery in the shade in the back? Susie, wave your hand. She is the director of the Women's Commission. Before I go even further, I also have other notes here from the Genesee County Medical Society, Pete Levine, and from the Michigan Medical Society, the president, Dr. Shape Ahmed. Would you wave your hands? Thank you. Appreciate your being here. And a round of applause for those folks, if you don't mind. Well, you would probably like to know a little bit about the legislation that has been rolled out today. It will be finalized next week, and it will cover a multitude of issues we believe are important, and probably there are more to come. Let me start with, and I'm going to name these briefly because we'll be here all night if we go into details. We're talking about affirmative defense for individuals who were trafficked. We're talking about charging those folks who frequent an entertainment, adult entertainment, charging them a fee, and that fee would go to support individuals who've survived trafficking. We're talking about municipality ordinances for adult entertainers. a creation of a human trafficking board, eliminating the statute of limitations for human trafficking offenses, prohibiting the use of the internet to solicit a minor, additions to grounds for termination of parental rights. It's a sad state when you hear about parents who are trafficking their very own children. Racketeering, and I think that one probably needs no explanation. Requiring those folks who want to procure the services of someone who is being trafficked, they would be required to register on a sex offender registry. A safe harbor legislation for those individuals who, through no fault of their own, were coerced into committing some type of crime. Safe harbor in the probate court jurisdiction, and safe harbor also in the Department of Human Services referral. Criminal convictions that would be cleared. We would allow victims to sue their captors. Medical and psychological treatment for victims. We would modify the victim status for foster care minors who are trafficked victims. Also included in that, training for medical professionals, and Senator Jones alluded to a legislation regarding wiretapping. It's a sorry state. We do have to acknowledge that this goes on. And in Michigan, we are not low on the list of incidents of trafficked individuals. In fact, we rank right up there. Toledo, Ohio is a major hub across this country for individuals who are trafficked. And the proximity to Michigan makes it very easy for traffickers to operate here. Also, international borders. We're surrounded by water. We have the international border to the north of us and to the southeast of us. It is an actual opportunity for traffickers to move folks easily and quickly. So we hope this piece of legislation, these pieces of multiple bills, will make a huge difference, and we're looking forward to continued work. We're looking forward to input from individuals who have been involved in this and survived. We have people in our state, quite frankly, and we're anticipating that the person who involved me personally from some time back is going to be in attendance. She wrote the book, The Slave Across the Street, and it recounts her experience in Michigan, in the suburbs in southeast Michigan. She was a 15-year-old in a suburb that is not known for its low poverty rates. It's a suburb where, if I named it, you would probably be able to name somebody you know there. And how ironic that years ago when she was in high school, this very issue was happening, but no one had a name for it. No one knew what to call it, and she, as a young lady, really didn't know what to do. And that is part of our goal here. Part of our goal is to make people aware, to raise the awareness, to help people understand what to do and where they can go for help. I would ask somebody who's wearing a t-shirt if you'd come forward. Joyce, why don't you come up? All right. You have to acknowledge these are pretty eye-catching, especially with the people we have wearing them. And if you're not aware, anybody here in one of these t-shirts can give you information about human trafficking and what it means in Michigan. But the most important thing, Joyce, now you can turn around. We have some human trafficking facts on the back side, but the most important piece on this is the phone number. Not to get personal here, Joyce, but this phone number is a national hotline. You're good, because I know it by heart. And thank you for modeling. I'm so grateful.
I'm the old guy, I can say that.
You can. This is a significant piece of combating this particular issue. The Polaris Project is based in Washington, D.C. The Polaris Project monitors legislation across the country, and they will tell you if what you're doing is effective or if it isn't. And they keep very tight rein, and they keep a very, very extreme database as to what works and what we need. And the best part about what they do is they collaborate. They gather the information of individuals who may be trafficked, or if you see something where an individual is being trafficked, you call the number. And the number is the most important thing. If you take nothing else away today, remember the number. It is 888-373-7888. Very simple to remember. And it is international. You may use that anywhere And the call will go into the Polaris Project in Washington, D.C. Excellent. See, it's great to have senators that keep my back. They take care of me. But I don't have a great story to tell. I'm just the tool, the worker bee, who's trying to make a difference with all of my colleagues in the House. I'm so grateful for your support. All of my colleagues in the Senate, the Attorney General, and ultimately the Governor is going to have to sign these. And it's a group effort, but it's more than that. It's a group effort for the people who are citizens in the state and just want to do the right thing. With that, I'm going to stop because I do believe we do have an extra special guest, and we've been waiting for the opportunity to introduce you to Teresa Flores. Her story is compelling. I know she won't go on and do her entire presentation today, but I want you to hear a little bit of her experience and how she got from there to here. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much for coming out and supporting Senator Emmons on these issues. Human trafficking is the second leading crime in the world, but it's also the second leading crime in the state of Michigan. I know that because I was trafficked here over 30 years ago, but I never knew what to call it. I never had a name for what happened to me as a teenager living in Birmingham, Michigan. I knew that something horrible was happening, but I didn't have any resources, no matter how rich I was, to get out of it. Because nobody back then recognized a well-to-do, affluent kid as possibly being a human trafficking victim. I went to Groves High School and was targeted by a group of guys that went to my high school who were older. They saw a vulnerable kid whose parents weren't always around and who just wanted a little love and attention like any 15-year-old girl. And they took that opportunity to blackmail me. They did it in a very common way, even today, 30 years later. One of them befriended me, acted like he liked me. I got attached to him. And very simply, one day, he just asked if I wanted a ride home from school. Now, what 15-year-old who has a crush on a boy wouldn't say yes to just a ride home from school? Unfortunately, he didn't take me there. He took me to his house, also in the Birmingham, Southfield area, and drugged me and raped me. If that wasn't bad enough, a few days later, he approached me with an envelope full of pictures. He said, "The older men in this group want you to earn these back or else. We will tell your father's boss. We'll post them around school. We'll tell the priest at church." So for me, in my 15-year-old head, I thought I needed to do whatever they expected me to get these back. But I had no idea what that would entail. What it entailed, it would be being called out of my house every night and taken to upscale, beautiful homes all around the Detroit area, where I was sold to men over and over again until they were finished with me. I would sneak back inside, go to bed, sleep for a few hours, and get up for school the next day and do it all over again. Nobody had any idea that this sort of thing could happen to a kid like me. But I don't fit that mold. You know, usually it's kids that are runaways, kids that are doing drugs or that are molested or abused at home. I wasn't any of those, and it still happened to me. I wasn't exempt. And it just proves that this can happen no matter where you live in this state. No matter how old you are, what color your skin is, it doesn't matter. So like I said, it took 20, 30 years before I had a name to call human trafficking. I didn't know that's what happened to me. And when I found that out, I also realized that here I was, a 41-year-old woman with a master's degree, and I had lived that, but I still didn't know anything about it. And I thought, if I didn't know that, how many others don't too? And I set forth my mission to share my story with anybody and everybody that wanted to hear it. And thankfully to wonderful, strong women like Senator Emmons, there are people that are on board to say, we refuse to let this happen in our state, and we refuse to let it happen to any child, any woman. You see, I go around the country sharing my story, and I meet a lot of survivors. I thought I was the only one. And as I meet them, I talk to them, and every single survivor, hundreds, have told me they all were trafficked through Michigan. When is enough enough? I say it's today. This is 2013. You know, we should be better than this. So I challenge all of you to please take a stance, learn more about human trafficking in the United States to kids like me living right here in Michigan. Thank you.
Talk about courage and a very strong, strong woman. We thank you, Teresa. We're thankful that you're raising the elevation of this discussion, that you're shining the light and you're willing to share, because you put a face on a diabolical scheme that is heinous at best. Because Teresa's been willing to share with us, and she's been in Michigan multiple times, we wanted to share with you her story. Ironically, one of my veteran friends who served in the armed forces told me about this book, gave me a copy of Teresa's book, and said, you need to read this. And that was the start. And so if you're interested, we do have Teresa's books here. It is a compelling story, and yet Teresa has shown us there is hope, there is power, and through all of us together, we're going to make a difference, and Michigan will be the lead state in this country. And we thank you for your interest, and we look forward to working with you. Some of our folks here already know about this, but we will share it with those of you who are out here and do not know about it. Two pieces of legislation that were introduced today. They have not been given a number yet. That will happen next week. But two pieces of legislation, and one of them is the issue regarding statute of limitations. Because Teresa didn't recognize what had happened to her so long ago, the statute of limitations has run out, and she has no recourse against her perpetrators. However, the one bill that we had introduced today, we want to give Teresa a copy, and this bill will be named the Teresa Flores Act. And we have one more individual who's worked very hard on this, and his name is Richard Sands, and he is here today. And Richard has a story of his granddaughter, Stephanie Brown. A situation where she was misused, abused, and ultimately she lost her life. And the other piece of legislation that we want to name is in honor of Richard's granddaughter, Stephanie. So Richard, if you'd come up and take a copy of this. I think we've done it. We've kept you here, and we're so grateful that you're willing to show an interest and work with us. So thank you.